Hey, it's Keith from Outlaw Speed Shop, and welcome to part two of the Stone Hoods and Crooks model build. In part one, I got pretty much everything taken apart and primed. Now it's going to be the final painting steps. So I've got this Spastics chrome, you should call it's paint, but it's a step procedure where you paint the black first, which is a gloss black. As you can see, I did the wheel covers, the top of the engine, and my exhaust pipes. And then you kind of put really light coats of they call it the chrome paint, which is very, very good. You got to do it really light coats, and you can just add layers as you go. And for the first time using it, I was pleasantly surprised. Definitely will use it again. And here you can see I've painted a few things. And getting things, this model was a little bit, again, disclaimer, I haven't done a model since I was 12 or 14, and I'm 52, going on 53. So there was some things that I learned, things I'll do better next time. The biggest thing for me was I need to learn to follow instructions. There was a few things that I should have done later on in the build. Instead, I assembled ahead of time, and anybody who's assembled this kit can probably already tell what they are. So I got this wet palette that I'm trying for the very first time. The works really well. You don't need it on the metallic or any kind of a silver based type of paint. Just makes it super thin, but I had already misted the gear shift, so it worked out pretty well to help keep the paint thin enough where when you do put it on, it doesn't leave a lot of streaks and things like that. So I found it worked really well. I use it on just about everything on this build, and I'm definitely going to continue to use it. I'm kind of mad for not having done so much earlier in my modeling slash diecast build career. And I've got a mix of paints. You'll see me use everything from Citadel to Games Workshop to Army Painter to Vallejo to I have just about everything, and I still don't always have enough paint. So this is like a leather brown. It's like a very light tan. I just thought it would look good on the steering wheel and kind of pop instead of the traditional black. It kind of gives it that wood grain look, something that would have been popular back in the 60s and even all the way up to the 80s. And again, now I'm with Citadel. I got this Balthasar Gold, which I'm going to use on the carburetors, and then later on I'm also going to use it on the top of the radiator. This stuff I'm using right out of the pot because it's just a small area. I don't have to thin it out or anything like that. It works out really well. And it's got a lot of pigment in it, so it goes on real nice as opposed to some of the other colors that just don't seem to spread as good. The biggest issue for me on this was having assembled some of it beforehand. Trying to get in certain areas was kind of a pain in the neck. I know when I was putting it together, I kind of had that assumption, say, "Oh, I'll have no problem being able to paint it," and definitely tested my skills with a small paintbrush, not shaking, and trying to get into small areas. This was a fun build. This was one of those builds where I thought it would be a good one to get started because there's not a lot of pieces. There's not a lot of heavy painting. So it worked out pretty well. I'm ready to move on to the next step. But in the end, overall, I'm kind of glad I picked this model because I've had it for so long. You can see on the engine block, I started laying orange down, and that I had to do like 4 coats. But then at the end, with the color I painted the car, it kind of clashed a little bit, so I ended up going to a lighter shade of red, but darker than the orange. Here I'm putting a Citadel's green wash over the actual monster itself. Washes work out really well. You just kind of brush it on. As it dries, it fills in the cracks and crevices, and it allows you to. It goes into the recesses, so it shadows those areas, which highlight the other areas as well. You just pretty much got to go through, make sure there's no pooling. You can just spread it around. It takes a little time and a little bit of patience, but overall, it's a nice, I'd say a subtle touch, but it does stand out and make a difference. You can kind of see how it filled in the recesses and made it darker. If I wanted to take it another step, I could. and then go back over with the original green, which is like a goblin green, and highlight those areas that were really would stand out, like the crest of where the muscles would be and the veins. I did not do that, mainly personal preference and laziness. I'm not going to lie. So here is one of those instances where I'm trying to paint the red inside the mouth, and the arm is in the way, and it just makes things very awkward and uncomfortable. Excuse me. And to be honest with you, the model wasn't molded that great, where the details really jumped out, so it was hard to see. But other than that, it wasn't that bad. Here I have a skull from Citadel. I had painted it like a bone color, and then later I went back and highlighted it with some brown wash just to kind of make it stand out a little bit. Then it's on to the I'm going to call them hubcaps. They're supposed to be rims, and I had painted them with the chrome. Now I'm doing the black. So here you can see a metallic white. I'm using a new airbrush, and I got to tell you, I love this airbrush. I'll have a link down below, and it goes to my Amazon account. If somebody actually buys one, I might get a cup of coffee. But the metallics, I originally wanted to paint this with a gold underbase and then a candy, and my Awada Eclipse just had a hard time. The needle was too small, and it clogs up. I needed like a 0.5, but I was looking for an excuse to buy a new gun. That gun is amazing. It handled the metallics no problem, and I actually did candy with it as well. Here you can see I'm using a 4050 UVLS clear, and then I'm mixing, I think it's 4-to-1, one part candy, which is the grabber orange. You can put more in. It's just the amount of pigment that goes in. With candies, you have to be careful, and you're layering stuff as well. And I'm putting a little bit of 4011 reducer just to thin it out. But when you're painting a candy, it's very easy, especially with a smaller gun, which is why I'm glad I went to the bigger gun, to get candy stripes. You get or tiger stripes, it depends on what you call them. If you're not consistent, they want like a 75% overlap as you do each layer, which is really hard to do considering you're just trying to put that on in very light coats and build up the color. So obviously the darker and the more coats you put on, the darker the orange will become. And that's personal preference on what you want. You could mist over like 2-3 coats and be fine. And if that's the color you're looking for. Another reason why I went with the white metallic instead of the gold metallic. So with the engine exhausts, you can see right here, I went a little bit of red. I'm not leaving that white. I just kind of left it as a break. And while the yellow was still wet, I started putting on, this is another reason the wet palette comes in really, really handy. I'm putting on the orange, and I'm just layering, so it's starting to blend, and it gives you a little bit of flexibility as you're starting to blend to push the colors together and get a little bit of a transition. And the same thing with the red. I'm going to do that on the bottom, so it's transitioning from the different colors. For the first time painting this kind of stuff, I did okay. It looks good. Could be better, I'm sure. I could have blended it a little bit better. With this particular, the way it's shaped, I had a hard time. I'm sure somebody else could do much better than I could. But the process itself works awesome. Just don't go by my skill set. Excuse me. Here's that Balthasar gold again. Just getting the radiator, the top and the sides of the radiator. I just kind of like that brass look, and I thought it would offset the red, which is what I went to, is like a flat red. It just, the color that I ended up painting the car, even though it's a hugger orange, I put it a little bit darker, so the orange engine just kind of stood out too far, and it just didn't look that good. So I went over it with a red, and to me it looked better, but again, personal preference. The scoop is not chrome. I just painted the spastic chrome over white, and it just kind of gave it that dull aluminum finish, which I kind of liked. So assembling the wheels, pretty simple. There's nothing really fancy to it. You snap the hubcap in, and I glued it from the back. There's 2 spots that gives you the opportunity to do so. Same thing on the front wheels. And I left those that Mr. Surfacer 2000 black paint, which if you watched part 1, you noticed. I liked the way it looked, and it came out really well. Gluing, there's not a lot of parts and pieces to this. The rear end, the drive shaft, the front I-beam. Pretty much the wheels can only go on essentially one way. Those axle shafts are actually keyed where one side is flat and the wheel is as well. So it makes it very simple to put in. Here you can see what it looked like with the candy over the metallic. I also put over, I want to say 5 coats of the Automotive 2K Clear. I'm going to paint the grill black. Right now I'm just actually hitting the high parts of it, but I'm going to fill the whole thing in with black. And then I'll go over it with my chrome pen and pick out the highlights with that and the edges, just like I did on the windshield molding on the front. And I also do it on the headlights. The exhausts are pretty simple. There's just a little recess on each side, left and right, where they pop in. Nothing fancy. Very easy to assemble model. Again, there's like 20 pieces. So you can see, you kind of probably caught it earlier as I paint some, I get some transparent orange and transparent blue. I kind of overdid it on this, but I was using that to kind of really heat up or make the exhaust pipes look like they've been heated up and cooled off and heated up and cooled off a bunch of times. But back to what I was saying, if you noticed on the Monster, the arm was off, the one that's going to stick out, because you can't put the car together. The arm doesn't fit through the window. And then once you actually look at the instructions and kind of decipher what they're saying, yeah, I should have waited to put it on. The only thing I did not like, and the only complaint or gripe I will have about this, is the arm doesn't fit through the window anyways. So I actually had to grind it down a little bit. Here I'm putting a steering wheel in. I had to grind it down, then repaint it so that I could actually get it in there. So I wasn't too happy about that. Just the arm was fat. The shoulder part that's going to go in, and I couldn't get it through the window. I'm sure I did something wrong, but nothing a Dremel with a sanding disc on it couldn't solve, and then some more paint. So the stone hoods in Crooks by Franco, pictured down there in the lower right. This is the final result. I think it came out good. I mean, I'm my own worst critic. For the first model in 30-something years, I think it looks pretty good. I'm happy with it. I'm going to only get better from here. I hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed building it and showing it to you. Again, if you haven't seen part 1, it's worth checking out. And if you are here because you like models, I'll be doing plenty more. And if not, I will be getting back. I also do die cast, robots, and all kinds of other things that interest me. So hopefully you guys stick around. If you liked it, make sure you subscribe. And I will catch you on the next one.